Слава Україні! Триває форум Via Carpatia і обговорюємо.
So we continue the forum via Carpatia. We're discussing the current challenges. We're analyzing the situation with our defense industry and what are the prospects of quick and relevant exchange of defense capabilities. We're talking about R&D, production, future, and not only that. It's a very important panel discussion. I have the honor of presenting to us Anna Gvozdar, Deputy Minister of Strategic Industries in Ukraine. Valentin Batarak, Director of Center of Think Tank and Army Conversion and Disarmaments, as well as Defense Information. Vladislav Belbas, head of the company Ukrainian Armored Vehicles, Українська бронетехніка. Also with us on this panel discussion, Piotr Lukasiewicz, temporary liaison attaché of Poland in Ukraine. And also, we want to send greetings the Polish nation and Poland with the recent Independence Day. It's super important for us, and we are so thankful for our Polish friends for what you've done, and hopefully together we'll be able to do much, much more. So, talking about today's situation, Anna would like to start with you. Yeah, we understand that we need quick, effective solutions. The key thing is to build our industry in Ukraine and maybe outside Ukraine. We see that the scientific industrial revolution, the drones, UAVs, changed the perception of war. But other than UAVs, there are other technologies that we have to capitalize on. So, question to you, if we take the period like these recent 2 years, to what extent we managed to increase the production and basically new technologies in the military field? How do you assess? So, thank you. I think our main jump in military production was in 2022-23. It's bad that we couldn't do it before. We had to be prepared since 2014 when the war started, but we have what we have. So 2022, we met 2022 with almost zero production of ammunition. In 2023, we significantly increased production of ammunition of different caliber, as well as mines production. We reanimated. But on the backdrop of shortage of artillery, ammunition, general ammunition on the front line, that's where drones emerged. Why is it important to talk about? Because I think Ukrainian innovations emerge where we run into problems, like all humanity. So there's this rapid increase in technologies and the numbers. It happened because of the shortage of ammunition. That's how we got FPV drones. That's how we got other things. We have operational drones, mid-range drones. Now we have new armaments emerging in Ukraine that we call deep strike drones. That for us are the replacement of missiles and the opportunity to bring war to the enemy. We have things to answer to them, and I think that's also very important. Again, all of that is the effort not only of the state, there's a huge role of private sector, private vendors. I think that can also be explained by the fact that people want to invest in the victory. So that's why we see above 800 new companies in defense, and these are only defense specializing in defense. If we talk about companies that produce both civilian and military, so W's, that's almost 300,000 people are employed in the defense sector. And I think this is a very reliable backbone for our army on the front line, because not only do we produce, we help them behind the lines to challenge with to deal with the challenges of the war. The enemy is constantly inventing something new. We have to counter that. And we see a number of quick solutions. Just before the speech, a journalist asked me about the Russian reconnaissance drones. So what do we do about it? For us, it was a huge problem. A lot of civilian cities suffered, like Kharkiv, Zaporizhia, because Russians had used these bombs with reconnaissance drones, and we couldn't destroy them because for us, air defense is too expensive to shut down Russian reconnaissance drones that are flying very high. And so Ukrainian producers adapted, and they found the new drones, anti-reconnaissance drones on the front line and in civilian cities. There is also a situation on the battlefield. So, Vladislav, Ukrainian armored vehicles, we understand that there is foreign equipment, Abrams, Bradleys, etc., etc. But other than foreign units, there are great examples of Ukrainian produced. Like there's MSLR Bogdana. When I talk to the artillery, they only have great words about Bogdana. But the question is about money and consolidation. To what extent do you succeed to implement the entire potential? We understand that the question of money is important. So could you share this, what we managed to do, and what we would like to do more? Well, by the second year of war, I would resume, we managed to do a lot of things. In terms of supporting the state, or at least the state shouldn't stand in the way, or at least to allow us to prioritize. There are projects that are difficult and complex, that are more of a short-term projects. As for our land armaments now, let's take armored vehicles. Earlier there were not too many producers. Now there's a bit more. There are a lot more. And not only what we can provide for ourselves, is it sufficient? Yes, Ukrainian designs can be self-sufficient. Ukraine can be self-sufficient. As for the artillery systems, then Bogdana, of course, has a lot of positive feedback. We know that the enemy works a lot in trying to crack our artillery. How it's well, we need to match that with ease of use, protection, ammunition, because that's what drones try to destroy. So these are the important elements, and that's what we are trying to do as the system is being completed, as it's being used. What other systems? Well, we know BTR-4, armored vehicle, price and quality. So we have Bradley. Let's compare. Bradley is a benchmark. It's expensive, but we can do something better and cheaper. Well, this war showed a little bit of the other side of what the West was preparing for. The West was preparing for some high-precision systems, modern warfare, some high-precision operations, whereas they were not preparing for a massive wall of fire, massive artillery. We see that simpler systems win, cheaper systems win, and great numbers win. And so this is where we need Ukrainian designs. They're not worse technically, but they're cheaper,
ефективно і швидко їх масштабуємо.
and we can effectively and quickly scale them up.
Наприклад, останніх днів, чи
Like
вчорашнього
there's
дня, чи
news
сьогоднішнього,
from yesterday
про передачу нам 980
that
тисяч
900,000
міліметрових пострілів. Це той мільйон,
shells will be given to us. It's the million that was promised to us just last year. So Ukrainian defense industry, our defense industry, is moving quicker than the Western world develops and grows these capacities.
Виробники державні,
And
виробники
so
приватні,
public vendors,
Міністерство оборони,
private
чи Міністерство
vendors,
стратегічних
MOD or
галузей,
Ministry of
які
Strategic
звітують про
Industries, we
зростання,
hear
ми
those
говоримо про рази,
reports all
і
the
тут цього
time.
недостатньо, так? То
We're talking
на
about
Заході, на жаль, не так.
significant increase, and
Наприклад,
that's not enough. But in the West, they're not thinking about
звітував
significant
Госдеп про
increases. Like
збільшення
the
кількості виробництва
State Department
артилерійських
talked
пострілів,
about artillery increase
як по системам, да?
and
І вони
artillery
говорили, що,
systems, and they
наприклад,
said that,
пороху збільшили
well,
виробництво всього на
they
24%
increased the
за 3
production of
роки. Це
powder,
доволі мало.
gunpowder
І
only by
попередня
24%.
панель
That's not
обговорювала так,
enough.
що
And the previous
Росія
panel
зараз
discussion
виробляє
said
більше,
that
ніж
Russia now
наші
producing
західні
much
партнери всі
more than
разом
our
взяті. І
Western
тут
partners combined.
ми можемо говорити про
And
те,
this
що
is where we can
західна
say
техніка,
that the
можливо,
Western
краще, можливо, ефективніше, але скільки
equipment
її
is
на фронті?
better, but how
Якщо у
much of
вас
it
є
is there?
10
If you have 10 Bradleys, instead of these 10 Bradleys, you could use 50
нашого озброєння.
Ukrainian
І тут уже потрібно
vehicles, and this is where
зважувати на
you have
наявну
to balance it out. How much
ресурс.
budget, how much resource do you have, and how much do you need? Now I would like Piotr Lukashevich to say a few words.
В Україні, так, хотіли би вкотре подякувати.
Because
Я від свого
again,
імені,
we would like
я
to
думаю,
express
багато
a
людей
lot of
приєднуються.
gratitude,
Свого часу
and I
Польща
think
надала
many
свого
people
часу
joined it
швидку
because
допомогу.
Poland was
Йдеться про
the
сотні
first to
одиниць
help
бронетехніки,
us
так, і
with
ситуація
hundreds
могла
of
бути кардинально інша.
armored
Маю
vehicles.
побоювання
Now
в інший
the
бік,
situation
і поляки
is
почали
different,
активно
and
забезпечувати нас,
Poland
допомагати нам
started
стрілецькою,
helping
важкою
us
стрілецькою зброєю,
with
мінометами і так
mine
далі.
throwers, etc.,
Ми
etc.
вдячні, ми пам'ятаємо. Але,
We are very
пане
thankful for that.
Лукашевич,
But,
просив би
Mr.
вас
Lukashevich,
відреагувати на
could you
почутий
respond to what
заголовок,
you've heard so
розповісти,
far
як ви
and tell us
бачите
what is your
перспективи
vision of the
поглибленого,
prospects of
інтенсивного співробітництва між
intensive,
Україною і Польщею,
deepened
тому що
cooperation
йдеться
between Ukraine and Poland
виробництво
in
зброї?
production of armaments? Thank you.
Thank you very much for the invitation. First, we are talking about machines mostly and equipment, but I would like to stress in the beginning that the spirit of Polish-Ukrainian cooperation is strong. So one thing is machine, but the spirit is the most important stuff, and the spirit of Ukrainian defenders is still strong, and it's causing a lot of amazement in Poland and the rest of the of Europe. And let me just use this opportunity to thank two deputies, Mr. Marcin Bosacki and Mr. Mikołaj Knarzecki, who are behind the spirits behind this conference. So thank you very much for this input. Yes, indeed, the Poland transferred a lot of heavy stuff, heavy equipment in the beginning of the full-scale invasion in the 2023. Right now I believe, is a time for building on this capital, especially in the form of reconstruction, of renovation, and reinventation of this equipment. You mentioned self-propelled mortars. We call them RAK. This is the part of the equipment, also Rosomax, and especially the quite famous KRAP 155 millimeters self-propelled guns. What we are trying to achieve is to build to get an investment from Polish government to build proper workshops for reconstruction of the equipment that is destroyed or partly destroyed on the battlefield, and repair it here in Ukraine, or maybe close to the border with Ukraine in the eastern part of Poland. So this is the main goal to achieve right now from our position. Madam Minister mentioned the deep strike capabilities. It's not maybe so well-known fact that Poland is also very active in in delivering and in transferring drone capabilities that are present on the battlefield, and those will have, and the developing of these capabilities will be of course our focus for the next year to achieve the so much needed capabilities for for Ukrainian defenders. But so there are, of course, the technical cooperation. There are possibility for investments in Poland in the TNT production. Also here in Ukraine, kind of a joint venture of Ukrainian and Polish companies, especially the private ones, that are willing to cooperate in these less known areas. But it's an old saying in the military. I'm from a military, so well, let me use this experience. This war, this very brutal conflict, proves again that equipment is not enough. One thing is to have technical, precise capabilities that Ukraine is growing. Russia still possesses, unfortunately, and also it's growing its capabilities. But it's a old wisdom of the battlefield of how to combine technical means with the human capabilities, and that's why even if Ukraine has its growing technical capabilities, it has to be paired with the bigger involvement in terms of number of soldiers, and this is why we see kind of a lack of equality or parity with Russians at the moment. So the call for of invention, of the technical invention should be paired, in my view, also with the call for bigger involvement in form of the human capital, soldiers' capital on the battlefield.
So let's now proceed to a controversial topic, as a clickbait topic maybe, but it's always on the agenda, at least with Russia. We understand that the adversary is using threats, nuclear threats. We understand that because at some point Ukraine delegated our rights to use our nuclear weapons from the arsenal that we inherited from the Soviet Union. And it was a big arsenal. So the Budapest Memorandum was a promise that wasn't delivered. Yeah, the states consulted with each other. Then Russia, who signed that, attacked us. So we will talk about prospects of what is so the Israeli model. Like Israel officially doesn't have them, but if they have to, they'll find some. Yeah, thank you. But you know, I want to respond to one thing about Polish experience in Korea. I think our friends, we need to learn from our friends in Poland. Because South Korea produces weapons 3 times quicker than Western companies. Look, there are 2 companies now. They produce tanks and ammunition. The Koreans build in Poland. I think these are offset funds. It's a mirror investment of the seller. That is the art of the possible. And we have to use it. Now about the nuclear. Indeed, we conducted a number of consultancies, and we understand that the technological potential of creating nuclear weapons is subordinated to political decisions. That's understandable. So we can say this, that Ukraine does have technological potential to review its nuclear status or its nuclear-free status, and then to attain a nuclear status. But for that, we need certain things to happen. First, we need to prove to the world that it's the Putin who violated the non-proliferation cooperation agreement. It's Putin who created out of Russia this powerful enemy for the whole world, because in the 90s, when somebody said about nuclear weapons, everybody said, why do you need nuclear weapons? And nobody could answer, because nobody could say who's the enemy. Now there's the enemy. And the last thing, you need political encouragement, so to say, of the key players in the world. If, for instance, Trump would refuse Europe in this nuclear umbrella, it would be logical to restore the proposals in terms of nuclear status. And since Poland already said about it, then the most logical step here is together to work in this area. That would be super important. And it could be a prelude to sub-regional union with the Baltic states, Ukraine, Poland, and Great Britain. And then we would be a powerful bloc together. Maybe we don't need nuclear weapons. If Typhoon system that the US said they would place in Germany, after the peace ensued, we need them in Ukraine. And Tomahawk, American Tomahawks and powerful Standard Missile 6, we need them in Ukraine. And then we would need not too much support. So, Mr. Lukasiewicz, could you say what are the prospects of possible strengthened models of cooperation for the future, if everything goes wrong or not the way we want it? Thank you. Not like the Donald Trump is not doing what we expect. Not at once, not in 6 months, but if American presence will be decreased, what then? Thank you.
First, we don't know the decisions that Donald Trump, President-elect Donald Trump, is going to make when it comes to security architecture in Europe and future of U.S. military involvement in Europe. I don't think he has decided yet. I don't think he has some form of written solid strategy in this regard. Probably the first thing, as for any president, is first to form the government, the administration, then formulate coherent, concrete strategy on paper, and then with consultations with the countries that they recognize as neutral, as allied, and as not doing enough in the U.S. state X cooperation. So this is what we can expect from the new U.S. government that will start to form in January. So it's not like Donald Trump is coming and everything is turned upside down and the 70 years old American presence is completely scratched and US is departing Europe once and for all. So it's not, I don't believe that this will be a dramatic change. What I believe and what I really support is that Europe should be prepared for whatever decisions, whatever modification of U.S. presence in Europe, United States will do.
Thank you for this important panel within the International Forum of Central Eastern Europe via Carpatia. Today we had with us Anna Gwozdar, Deputy Minister of Strategic Industry, Valentin Badrak, Director of think tank Army Conversion and Disarmament, Ruslan Belmos, Ukrainian Armored Vehicles, and Piotr Lukasiewicz, Temporary Attaché of Poland in Ukraine. Thank you, everyone, for this important conversation.